leaders. Welcome to CTRL+ALT+DELETE with Lisa Duerre live. I'm Lisa Duerre, your guide through the ever-evolving landscape of leadership and tech. We're breaking down barriers and bringing our community together in real time. So whether you're tuning in from the comfort of your office chair or catching the replay later, please know that your voice matters. Speaking of voices, that's what firm leadership is all about. Listening, inviting wisdom, and embracing the collective intelligence of our teams. Because let's face it, no one leader has all the answers, and that's where you come in. As we dive into today's discussion, please be an active participant. Drop your thoughts, questions, and insights into the comments below. This isn't just my podcast, it's ours. Together, we're rebooting Leadership Drive. And before we kick things off, I'd like to mention that this podcast and live stream experience is brought to you by RLD Group. As your host and the CEO of RLD Group, I'm grateful for the opportunity to collaborate and bring in this podcast to life. Together, we're committed to empowering organizations, teams, and leaders like you, and your engagement in this conversation is invaluable. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation, get comfy, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's make some magic happen. Hey there, everyone. It's Lisa Duerre here. I'm so glad you're joining us. If you're live, please drop into the chat where you're coming from. If you're on the replay, drop in replay. We want to make sure that we reach as many leaders as possible because, as you know, here on CTRL+ALT+DELETE, we are interactive and we are bringing you practical tips to help you on your leadership journey. And we want to make the most of our time together with you today. I'm so glad you're here. So I don't know if you saw our post today, but I posted a picture of my guest today and one of our dear friends and colleagues that I've known for over 24 years now. And the topic I put was collaboration. And I was having fun thinking about what is it like when you're a leader who is privileged to work with people who are fun, creative, don't take themselves too seriously, and also collaborate for the best of the organization, the team, and each other. And that's why today matters so much to me. So if you haven't seen the photo, you may see my hairdo from 2000. Hope you have fun looking at that. And I want to just say to you that, Lily Beth, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for putting that in here. And Diana, I see you too. So we're going to be bringing your voices in. Today, we're going to be talking through the lens of firm leadership, which is what RLD Group brings into the world: flexible, intuitive, resilient, mindful. Those 4 ways of being as a leader are what's going to help you navigate the world in which we're in today. And today's topic is about navigating it through the lens of we, which is the team lens, as we look at resilience, innovation, and all the things that you need to prevent burnout and to thrive. And there's nobody else I could think of to bring up today than someone who I've been collaborating with for over 20 years. She's a dear friend. She's a trusted advisor to me. She's a member of RLD Group and has her own consulting firm. She is a Clifton Strings coach, a performance advisor. We call each other soul sisters, and we have so much fun when we're together. So, Gabes Coplan, welcome to CTRL+ALT+DELETE with Lisa Duerre. There she is, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Whoop, whoop. Hey. So did you see my little thing I did today with our song?
Yes.
I did indeed. Yes. Stop, collaborate, and listen, right? Like, how many times, Gabes, when we were under pressure and stress, did we break into a song and have a dance to just like break it up and just stay in the moment?
If you think about it, we were doing somatic stuff before it was even popular.
We have been doing this for a long time. Yeah. So, Gabes, when you think about the lens that we're in today about we, right? We have I, we, and us. So there's individual, there's team, and there's the organization or the system. And you think about resilience. I know I've been more resilient because I've collaborated with you for decades now. But why does this matter to you today? Why did you want to say yes to this episode on this topic?
Well, I love being in a team, which is kind of funny, but I love being in a team. I've had such amazing experience with different types of teams, whether it's teams where we're together being led by the same leader, whether we're collaborating across teams. So a lot of the work that I've done, I've actually been part of teams that people were reporting to other people. But really, it's so important because when people talk about resilience, it's really about people connecting and coming together and creating that space where how you show up and how you lean in really ultimately create success and innovation. And so I just have such a passion for building teams and helping leaders that I'm coaching build their teams to be like very high performing teams. So that's why it's important to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm going to throw a couple of statistics to just reinforce your message here. So, when Gabes and I were planning on what we're going to talk about today, we pulled some stats. So I'm going to bring up a McKinsey research stat because not only does it near and dear to our heart, but it's good for business. So, according to McKinsey, employee disengagement and attrition could cost a median size S&P 500 company between 228 million and 355 million a year in lost productivity. So, if you're thinking about the bottom line and you're thinking about why are we doing all this, this is the conversation you want to be in. And I think the other one that I put up on LinkedIn and on social platforms, it has to do about collaboration. And this one, I think, Gabes, I want to start here with you because yes, these are, big numbers and lost productivity. They're important. But I know many of the leaders that we work with, you and I and RLD Group and you with your own Paisley Spirit, right? All that we do together, when you think about it, we're talking to a lot of sales leaders, customer satisfaction organizations, product developers, right? So I want to just say Frost and Sullivan says that collaboration improves product quality by 34% and it improves product development by 30%. And I know we have both lived experience of being in silos and collaborating across. And I think that those statistics might be the lens in which I think this conversation matters. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about is, with your background in Clifton Strengths, with your background with somatic coaching, how you're helping people's nervous systems and get unstuck, how do you help leaders understand that collaboration is important and not make it feel like it's just one more thing they need to do? Like not be a burden. How do we help them see it as a gift and a resource to them?
Well, one of the things that comes up a lot in the coaching that I do with executives is around delegation, and that's where collaboration takes place. So, oftentimes what helped a leader get to where they are is usually technical or was how they did their job as an individual contributor, and then suddenly they're now in this leadership role, or if they want to get to they want to level up to the next level, everything that they were doing before isn't going to really help them in that next level they want to be. And so what happens is we spend a lot of time talking about how do you leverage your team. And part of leveraging the team is creating opportunities for the team to shine through their strengths and their talents. But it's really hard for leaders to let things go. Often, many of the leaders are very conscious about overloading their teams. And so, all of that plays into resilience. And how do you create opportunities for the teams to come together, to get to know each other, to build the foundation so that when it really comes to obstacles and challenges and productivity, that they're building that foundation so they can rely on each other. And that's a lot of times around delegation, time management, stress management, mindfulness. So that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about and working on.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting because in the past couple of days, even this morning, I had a coaching call. Yesterday, I was doing a coaching debrief with one of the sponsors. And the conversation that keeps coming up is, where's the time? There's no time. Everything is important. And I think, I always say real talk. I just say what I think, right? And it's like, this is too important to ignore. And what you're doing isn't working. And so the greatest gift you can give is to pause, to stop, collaborate, and listen. Right? Like, that's why I was joking with this song today. Like,
Ice baby.
zip your mouth and ask a question and let the system, the organization, the team tell you what's needed. The questions like, how might we, or what becomes possible if, because we hear over and over again, we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, we can't say no. The reality is then you have to change the way you work. If that's the mindset you have is we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, and we can't say no, well, then you better figure out how you work together and leverage your strengths and manage your stress and collaborate for problem solving. So the first gift I want to give everyone is a simple question of how might we, right? And what becomes possible when or if. Those two questions can really unlock your energy, your mindset, your innovation. And if you do that in your team, Gabes, we've been doing this for years, right? So do you have a tip or a specific thing that you think we want to add right here in this conversation right now that people can go, okay, I can do that after this 30 minutes with these ladies?
Well, what's fascinating is I actually have a client last week I was talking to, and he's in an organization that keeps reorging, So he's had a new manager, I think, every year for the last like 4 years.
Mhm.
And I said, when was the last time you talked to your manager? We're just kind of, I haven't talked to my manager in like 8 months. No. And by the way, that's a very common thing. I don't talk to my manager regularly. Even the simple having a check-in, a one-on-one, it doesn't, and just seeing how people on your team are doing. The other thing I was thinking about too is when teams are coming together, is your teammates need to be having one-on-ones. They need to be talking to each other and getting to know each other. That's really, really important, especially when you have teams where you're bringing people with different roles, different responsibilities, because it's really easy to be in a silo. And
Mhm.
yet, taking the time to actually talk to each other and get to know each other, and it doesn't matter if you're remote or you're in the office, taking that time to have that human connection, that goes a long ways in building that muscle of working together and being resilient together. And it's really important for leaders to foster that. So it starts with them.
Mhm. Yeah, I love this. It's funny, I notice as a host, I say I love this a lot, and I think the reason I love it so much is because these are the conversations to have, right? And so you're basically saying to them, "Hey, stop, have a conversation," and encourage that across the teams too, right? It's not just all on the leader, but model it. And one of the things that I was thinking about this week was so interesting. When we think about the engineering world, right? We want the formula. We want to know how to get there, right? You and I've been doing this for years, building learning programs, and heck, that picture I showed was our first new hire orientation we ever ran together, right? So one of the things I think about is that the opportunity for resilience comes with understanding what people are thinking. So we don't have to expend the energy of making up stories to fill in the blanks. So
Mhm.
if you have a new manager every 4 months and the reorgs keep happening, or in the example I gave about we don't have the resources, one of the things I think we have to do as leaders, and we equip our leaders to do this, the ones we work with, um, is to presence the why behind a decision or a change in direction, right? The why. Because
Mhm.
we know when you understand the why, it's easier. And it could be as simple as just saying out loud, we're reorging because, right, the market has shifted and we're going to put our focus over here.
Mhm.
Or we don't have the resources because we just made an investment over here in the system and that's gonna help us too. Like, simply the because or and here's why, like, just presencing and getting out of your head through your mouth to the team really can help with collaboration and breaking down silos because then people know why you chose to do what you did. Um, so I just wanna presence that, and I really think one of the things you're really great at, Gabes, is storytelling. And I'm just curious, is there a story as when in your own leadership career where you really understood that the collaboration was broken and that the team was just under so much pressure and that you found ways to create the resilience at the team level through the firm leadership model? I mean, I know you have thousands of these stories. I worked with you for all these times, but what stands out? Is there one to share today that might inspire a leader to go, "Oh, okay, that could work."
Yeah. So I was asked to take on it after, and because we have a history together after you left, right? The team was kind of dispersed. And after about a year, I was asked to take back a team. The manager wanted to go into a different direction. They wanted me to take back that team. So now I have 4 functions and not enough headcount. I mean, the amount of workload that was being asked of these people, it was crazy. And what I realized is because we were doing strengths through the strengths lens, seeing what people's strengths were, that there was opportunities for us to cross pollinate. And because of these people's strengths and talents and their experiences, we could actually help each other in these different functions. And so I started encouraging, hey, you go talk to this person because you guys are actually working on something very similar. You can help each other out. Okay, this team, you're going to go and help this team with their projects. And really just looked for opportunities. And that's my strategic brain, looking for opportunities to lay out a path. So people started to work together and started to help each other with their projects. I also created opportunities for us to be together as a team. So team building, as much as some people are like, I hate team building, it really does help for people to be together outside of just the work environment and to get to know each other and know each other's stories. We had a lot of fun, and it could be the smallest thing, but we found ways to really connect. and I tap into my people who are extroverted and my people who are introverted. I'd have side conversations with them like, hey, I want you to come. I think this will be good. And because of that, when things went sideways, we were moved to a new organization. And honestly, it was awful. It was not a good change for. We had to lay off people. People's roles were being redefined. The team, because we had spent time together building that, and we had time, we were able to navigate a lot of obstacles together. And I was so amazed by the resilience of these people and how much they supported each other and really lifted each other up and managed to still get the work done. So that's, for me, it was just watching these people just step up and be there for each other. It was truly an amazing team. So
Mm. I have personal insight on this. So of course I'm almost crying because there's so much to this, because we all know when there's organizational change, you've got a leader that's left, things are different. You're trying to step in and hold it all together, and you can either break, get very command and control, or open your heart, open your ears, and figure out how you can combine the teams to be more successful. And I mean, I have examples too, where when I inherited a whole new team, and that team thought they were going to be reporting to someone else. And then they thought that the team I did have was like my favorite team, which I love everybody. And, so how do you integrate and bring two teams together, which at one point they thought one would win the game and the other one won, whatever the game is of politics at work, right?
yeah.
And I know that that's where we started our strengths exercise, because I knew we had to figure out how to get to know each other on a personal basis. And I remember watching everyone go, oh, I have that unique strength. That's what that is. Oh, that could help. And I really do believe we sit here today, Gabes, 24 years later, RLD Group, Rebooting Leadership Drive, built on strengths.
Mhm.
And I think that is such a component of resilience and team building, because you and I have done many workshops now around virtually, and heck, you've been out of the country to do this stuff too, and local, where the strengths experience really helps people recognize and connect deeper without it feeling like it's fluffy, because it's based on the work you have to get done.
Mhm.
So I really celebrate that. And I think it's kind of special that we have that long-standing history, and yet each of us approached it differently because of our strengths,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to bring in the chat here and see if there's a question for us or any comments here. So please go ahead and drop in any thoughts you're having on resilience, collaboration on a team. Maybe you want some insight from Gabes and I with all our history. But while people are dropping in the chat, I think another question I have for you, Gabes, is you and I know the power of play, right? And sometimes we get really hung up on just execute, get it all done, and there's no time for play, right? And even I still recall very vividly when Pharrell's Happy song came on. There were days when I was so stressed out, I'd play it in my office loud enough that you could hear it through the door, and people come by, go, and we just start dancing around the computer, and then we go back to work. It was almost like we didn't even say anything, Gabes. We'd just be like, because I'm happy, right? And it would just like change a vibe. Or you and I would like host a meeting with a huge hotel for these big sales kickoffs, and everyone's formal in their button-down jackets and trying to make everything work, and there's thousands of details. And we would just giggle and, sing a song. So as much as this may seem fluffy to some, I can tell you the power of music shifts energy, and
Mhm.
it changes people's mindset. It helps people open back up. And you and I have had so many dance parties over the years, decades. Is there a song that comes to mind that we might just plant for people on, resilience and teamwork and collaboration? Like, what comes to mind?
Oh, you mean like you want something like high energy?
I want whatever you got. I want whatever you got.
Oh, yeah. I really thought about this. See, this is the problem. I love music. So I'm like, what? You want me to pick one song?
Yeah, maybe you got a playlist. I don't know.
I don't know. It's so funny because today I was listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. So take an Earth, Wind, and Fire
I
song to
love Earth, Wind&
mind.
and Fire. Yeah, do you remember September? Like, when I hear that song, I think what it is like, pick a song that brings you joy, because
Mhm.
then you become more infectious with your energy, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, well, to me, I was laughing all day getting ready to talk to you about stop, collaborate, and listen. Like, I don't know what it is for me, but it's just like, it's such a nice feeling to know that there's playfulness that then fosters resilience too.
Mhm.
Because when we don't take ourselves too seriously, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. Um,
Well, that's part of it, right? People take themselves very seriously. Everything's very serious. And
yeah,
and I mean, I remember working with people, it's like, wow, you really take yourself seriously. And I'm a goofball.
yeah.
So, and yet it's one of those things that when you're with your team, you spend a lot of time with your team. and sometimes you spend more time with your team than you do like your mates or people who you're hanging out with and stuff. So I think that and your team, a lot of times they understand the demands of your time, your energy, what you're having to do. And I know that I mean, I can honestly look back on my career and say I have some really good friends who were my teammates, really lifelong friends,
Yeah.
because they got it and we just bonded over it and we still are friends to this day and stuff.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say is I think it's really important for especially leaders, for your team to know that you have their backs. Because you had mentioned that sometimes you have to do things because that's what's coming down from, upper management or your executive team, or they have these initiatives and it's one of those, it's the right thing to do. But as a team, when you know that your leader might go and try to push back or connect the dots for why this is important, that goes a long ways to helping that resilience and building that muscle around resilience, because you know that your manager is going to, it has your back no matter what, and that your teammates do too, even if you still have to do something that's like you don't totally agree with, or oh man, this is going to be more work, but
Mhm.
that your manager gets it. And I think that's really, really important for leaders to slow down enough to think, how is this going to affect my team, and do I need to then talk to them about it, whether it's individually or as a team. But I think that's really important, and that's something that I've seen you do. I know that I really try to be very conscious in my leadership with my team, explaining why it was that we were doing what we're doing and connecting the dots and staying really aware of what was going on from a business perspective, as well as talking to other people. So that, I think that's really, really important to helping the team with their resilience.
I think that it's so important. I'm going to bring a quote up in just a second, but I want to say something on this because you just made me realize something. So in our business at RLD Group, right? Like we're a coaching and consulting firm, right? We help leaders in tech prevent burnout, create an organizational culture where people can thrive because the people are inside, right? And there's times when people ask me to speak for free or do free things, or can I get a discount, or can we do these things? And I have to stay true and explain to our clients and potential clients, what it takes to run a business, what it means to be self-employed. How does this work? And I think because I did that so much inside my corporate days, I built enough muscle, but then I had to take an even deeper look at myself to figure out, how do you talk about the value, the return on investment when you invest in coaching or consulting, what it means to have us facilitate or help you design your strategic offsite, and not getting frustrated when they're like, well, that costs too much, or we don't have the budget, or all the things that come at you when you own your own business, right?
Mhm.
It was the same thing inside. Like we have to explain what's behind it. And so when I say to clients, well, you realize you get the private portal, we have, 24/7 email access, all the other things, whatever, right? You get the strengths grid. So then we debrief with you on all the things you can do. And they go, oh, all that's involved. So I think one of the things we all can do to be resilient is to explain what's underneath the decision or the stance. Here's why. I
Mhm.
just, your point is so important, Gabes, and I've noticed it as a business owner on this side too. Um, I saw a chat come up from Heather Herdeman, who I have not seen in 100 years. And oh my gosh, Heather, I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Heather.
Heather is someone who I have so much fun with back in the day. I'm thrilled to know this is resonating, Heather, and I'm so glad you're here because joy is contagious, right? And um, I know you know this. And so thank you for, having fun is one of the smartest things you can do as a leader, right?
Mhm.
I love that. It's also a burnout prevention as well. And what's so interesting is I have these truth bombs I use, and I pulled one today and it says joy lives at the edge, right? And I think it's really important that we remember that as leaders, because we can get all caught up in all this, but how we show up, the energy that we bring affects the team, and that does either resource the batteries for resilience or deplete
Mhm.
them.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let me pull up another statistic and see where this takes us, okay? Companies that foster teamwork have a 50% lower employee turnover rate. That's from Gallup as well. And Gabes, I know you're Gallup certified, and I know you live in this land, and I know I've seen it when we do our strengths workshops, but can you just talk a little bit more? I mean, 50% lower employee turnover, like what becomes possible when your team stays and they feel supported? So what are your thoughts on this statistic from Gallup?
When I saw it, I was like, like when you see the numbers, right? The
Yeah.
little nerd in me comes out. I think the thing for me when I see that and talking to leaders, and then also just, I mean, we're on LinkedIn, right now, and you see what people are talking about, being, either burnt out, or the environments they're in, they don't feel supported, they don't feel like they have a team, all those things. I think that it just reconfirms why it is so important for leaders to really spend time on their leadership skills, their emotional intelligence, really looking at how they can help foster that team environment. And one of the things that I think is so critical is personal ownership. As a leader, having personal ownership, but also encouraging the people on your team to have personal ownership as well. That everybody on the team is a leader. I mean, we talk about leadership and people always tie it to titles and ranks and things like that, but really everybody is a leader. There's self leadership, and it's really important, for everybody to see themselves as a leader in whatever space that they're in, because they're stronger together. And the fact that many people would want to lead, I mean, it makes my heart hurt, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
people are just navigating through the workday and just trying to get through the day. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. I know, going through so many different scenarios in my head as you're talking, because it's not a surprise that you say what you say, having had the experiences that we've had together and knowing what it's like working with our clients. But the thing that I just keep thinking about is that teamwork doesn't have it. I don't want leaders to walk away from this feeling like they have to come up with a whole new strategy and a big plan, because this is a bite-sized thing. If you literally in your next team meeting ask everyone, what are your thoughts, and you make sure the introverts have a chance to process and the extroverts, feel heard too, because they like to I'm an extrovert, I like to talk, right? But what are your thoughts? Like, that's the simplest way to build in some teamwork, right? Or what issues do you see? Or what opportunities do you have? Where you bring voices in, because what we know is that the speed of change, the acceleration of the world, it's impossible as the leader to have all the answers. So
Mhm.
I think one of the things to figure out on resilience and teamwork and collaboration is truly being okay not having all the answers, and recognizing that one of your responsibilities as a leader is to cultivate, extract, nurture, and help the organization flourish by the wisdom inside the humans inside that system. And so that 50% number to me says, whoa, what an opportunity to stop and be more curious.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
By the way, it's okay to say, "I don't know." In fact, I was talking to someone about that today. It's a very powerful thing as a leader to say, "I don't know." You don't
Yep.
have to have all the answers.
Yep. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Or I don't know. Let's figure it out together. Or, here's what I do know and here's what I don't know. Like, there's all kinds of ways to presence that. I appreciate that, Gabes.
Yeah, in that case, your ego is not your amigo.
Your ego, you heard it here first. Your ego is not your amigo. Oh, I love it so much. Um, one of the things that I was thinking about is this concept that you were saying, everybody is a leader. And I know I've been saying this my whole life too. And I feel like we have to lead ourselves. This is the I and the I, we, us model. Know
Mhm.
yourself, lead yourself, right? And Alinka just posted, Alinka, we're so glad you're here. She's commenting here, which is why I love doing this live so we can bring voices in. Great conversation about everybody's a leader. And do you remember a time, Gabes, when you first heard that and you kind of went, yeah, right? Or did you buy into it right away? Like,
No, I can
right?
be very pessimistic at the beginning. I'm like, "What?
That
That's
was
a
my
bunch of
lead-in
BS."
question. That was my lead-in question. Tell me a time when you thought that was BS.
I'm gonna be really honest.
Yeah.
It's
So
like,
what
okay, there's a cliche right there. Did I just say a cliche? I think I did.
That's awesome. So, yeah, let us into your thought process, because I'm having been with you and working with you for decades. You are such an amazing leader, and I knew that in the beginning that wasn't your mindset. So, I think it's important to just help people know that. So, what is it? What shifted for you, or when did you first notice leading myself is being a leader, owning my story, bringing my thoughts?
Yeah.
That's leadership.
Well, I think very early on in my career, because I was actually so non-engineer in an engineering world. And I love my brothers and sisters that are engineers, but they're really, they're about data, and then, well, pointing out, like, Gabes, like, how did you come to this conclusion? Gabes, why would we do this? And what I realized is that I had I have knowledge, I have knowledge that was different from theirs. And I was being asked to lead these different projects, leading these groups of people. And so it required me to step up as a leader, even though I had no title, no positional power, I had some knowledge power. And so it really started to make me realize that, yeah, I am a leader. I'm a leader in my space. I think even with my team, they each had things that they were responsible. My team members, they had things they were responsible for. Well, they were the leader in that space. So you are a leader. And so I just slowly over time started to recognize that by encouraging people to step into their leadership space, whatever that was, it helps their confidence. It helps the team, the productivity of the team, the efficiency. It was just, I just could see the ripple effects of having that approach to things. So in my mind, especially with the work I do, because some people I work with are actual executives, other people are just individual contributors. And that's something that comes up a lot about how do you be the leader of your life, whatever it is that you're doing. So the CEO of your life, you sometimes see on things.
I was going to say it's another cliche, but no. I go back to your ego is not your amigo. Your ego is not your amigo, right? Like
I can't explain that as being mine. I actually saw that when
I just love it. But I love it because, like, listen, we're all, wherever you are in your career, you still are responsible to lead your life. And leading your life means showing up at your best at work. So advocating for what you need, bringing other voices in. We know that diversity in design matters. We know different diversity in voices matters, skill set, like your example of not being an engineer.
Yeah.
I just think it's really, really important. So I'm really glad we're here today and having this conversation. And it looks like Janice has a comment here we should bring up. And I want to use Janice's comment as we wrap up here. So as someone who is part of a team, it gives me a lot to think about as a leader. Yeah, and I know Janice is a colleague of yours, Gabes. Is anything you want to say to Janice's comment? Well, Janice, we're glad you're here.
Oh, Janice is a beautiful leader. She is someone that I have learned so much from, and it just exudes her wholeness and who she is. And so thank you, Janice, for being here.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you, Janice. So, hey, if you've liked this conversation, you've been inspired like Janice, Alinka, Heather, Lilybeth, those of you that are commenting, thank you for bringing your voices right here, right now. If you've enjoyed this conversation, you want to bring it into your org, we'd love to talk to you. If you want to talk about strengths, we're here for that too. Please like, share, and comment and subscribe. We're going to continue to go live. Gabes, thanks for being my soul sister and my leadership development partner in life as we've navigated our careers together. And thank you for bringing your heart today and your experience. You guys, you don't have to do this alone. Don't do leadership alone, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. Oh dear, I did it again. And with that cliche, I'll just say, thank you for being here today. Please like, share, and subscribe. We can't wait to see you next time on CTRL+ALT+DELETE with Lisa Duerre. Gabes Coplan, you rock. Thanks for being here today.
Ice, ice, baby.
Ice, ice, baby.